Thank you so much, River North, for joining us today, otherwise known as Heather Christine and Matt Sadi. Welcome to our Hub Highlights Artist Interview Video Series. How are you both doing today?
Oh, we're doing great, Sherri. We're really busy getting ready for the Celtic Roots show, but by and large, we're happy that performances are open again in the public, and we're having a good time.
Busyness is good news, right? Especially after the past few years. I mean, tell our audience a little bit about River North, about you guys.
Sure. Heather and I met a number of years ago before we became romantically involved. We were musically involved. The first gig I ever played with her was with a group she had called the Gypsy Kittens a number of years ago. And we've collaborated on a lot of projects over the years, and one thing led to another, and here we are. But musically, we've always really been in sync with what we've been working on, and we've collaborated on our own individual projects. And we said, well, we do a lot of work together. It would only make sense that we actually write together for its own sake, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
What kind of music do you guys like to do together then as a duo come together? Because I know you both, like you said, you have both different artistic practices separately. What do you guys like to work on together?
Absolutely. So we have an interesting kind of melange. So Matt does more folk rock, and I swing more towards like R&B, soul, jazz, I'd say almost world music. But when you kind of like put that together, it becomes kind of a rootsy, soulful, I would say like acoustic folk sound
I'd say
that
something
we
like
do.
acoustic folk is pretty. There's going to be some R&B vibes in there just because it's in our nature. But yes, acoustic folk is probably a good way to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a perfect partnership, right? So you're both musically inclined and together, so it works really well.
Stuck with me.
Yeah, stuck together. So I know you guys have been very adaptable during this pandemic, and you've get into very much streaming, and both really just came together and got it done, right? And worked with what you guys had. How has this kind of impacted your creative journey?
We learned a lot. During the pandemic, we had to adapt quickly, and it was kind of like a sink or swim moment as a performer. I had a little bit of coin at the beginning of the pandemic where I said, okay, I know I'm going to need two things: a camera, a better audio interface, and then the next thing I got was a set of lights. And when we first started this, we were working with a phone camera and a daylight lamp, and we've just slowly over time upgraded our equipment and kept learning. And a lot of this process was very much trial and error. But we've shared what we've learned with the community, and we have a bunch of colleagues that have done the same thing. And as in the process, our live stream actually looks decent.
What happened for me actually was during the pandemic, in a weird way, the pandemic actually turned me into a 100% professional artist. So at the start of the pandemic, I was working, a part-time job. But when the pandemic happened, Matt is a full-time artist, and we had to adapt in order to pay our mortgage and to continue living in the city of Mississauga, which is extremely expensive. So being an artist in this community, you have to work really hard. So just because Matt is very calm and like really good problem solver, and he's like, okay, we're going to figure it out. We're going to do virtual lessons. We're going to work with our different partners, sponsors, the Rose Theatre in Brampton, the Arts Council. So he has a very calm way, which helped me also to kind of calm down and learn to adapt. And then through that, I started teaching so many more lessons, and new opportunities kept presenting themselves. And I was actually able to leave my job. And now I'm like totally a full-time artist. So in a weird way, as difficult as the pandemic was, it kind of like changed my life. And the wonderful thing about Matt too is like he always encourages me, like it doesn't have to be perfect. Like he wasn't afraid of looking stupid and doing the digital streams. And of course, there were some scary things that happened in our learning process with doing live performances with tech. But Matt has a great thing of like, we're just going to figure it out. We're just going to keep moving forward. This is what we have to do. And that attitude, I feel, is so liberating. And it just gives you the green light to go ahead, to stand on your own 2 feet, and to say to the world, this is what I have to offer. This is what I do. I'm an artist full-time. Rah, I'm going for it. And I think that's a beautiful message that he teaches me. It empowers me, and it empowers so many other people in the community that I feel that from Matt. So I think that's what has helped to carry us through.
No, that's wonderful advice from both of you. And I think that's just really telling of what you guys have done and shown to other artists, is that it's always just doing what you can, right? And it's not going to be perfect, and it's just try until you find what works for you. I mean, talk about your first single that came out, like This Too Shall Pass. And that was back in, feels so long ago now, a little bit, but 2020, right?
Yes.
Talk more about that. What was that like for you guys?
Well, Matt and I always take on so many projects that we have to say to ourselves, we are going to sit down, we are going to focus ourselves and write a song. So when the pandemic happened and all of our gigs were canceled, we were just like, whoa, this is a really uncertain time. We don't know what's going to happen. So we actually took a poem, because my parents are both writers. So my parents actually kind of collaborated and wrote this little poem together. And we were over at their house for dinner, and my dad said, you guys should write a song. You should write more. So we just took those lyrics and we put a melody to it. And then we just created a song, and we worked together with Anthony Panacci, here, your Laurie Pallet Patron of the Arts Award winner. And he helped to record the song for us, and we released it. So it was a beautiful experience. And definitely we had to sit down and focus again and continue to write more together. Definitely.
Yeah, it came together pretty naturally. Like, the idea was, we already had the foundation of the idea because, from the poem that we got from Heather's parents, but the song itself honestly came together pretty much in a day. When the circumstances are right, and when the spirit moves you, so to speak.
Wow, that's great. I'll put you on the spot. Can you tell me a favorite moment that you've had performing together the past couple of years?
Oh, I will say one of my favorite, we've had a lot of good memories. I think one of them was performing for about 20,000 people at Mississauga Celebration Square with From Far and Wide on Canada Day. Just being able to perform for the city of Mississauga residents of that amount of people, you get such a rush. And we were performing with Arlene Pakulin and the Identity Crisis, who we love, as well as performing live at the beautiful Rose Theatre in Brampton on their main stage, doing a live stream last year, the day after St. Patrick's Day, doing our Celtic show with one of Canada's top drummers, Mark Kelso. It was a live stream, and it was just such a thrill to be on a beautiful stage again during the pandemic. We were no longer in theaters. So to be back on that big stage and be working with Mark was fabulous.
I was going to say, she took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
My two favorite performances that we had during the pandemic were the two where we got to work with a crew and an audience in a theater again. We were part of Mississauga's first digital summer programming. And then when we did this broadcast with the Rose, again, there was no audience there, but there was a crew there, and everybody was excited, and everybody was just glad to be back to doing what we love to do. And it was amazing.
So let's talk about, it's kind of a hybrid thing. So the Celtic Roots concert is coming up on the March 17th. Tell us, first of all, a little bit about the event. And maybe second question, you decided to do in person as well as virtual. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yes. Well, the show, we do it every year. Matt and I both have Irish and I'm also Scottish ancestry. So it's deep in our roots that we love to sing the Celtic repertoire. So this year we decided to make the show both digital at 7 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day. And we're also doing a live in-person concert at 2 p.m. at the Clark Hall, just to meet everybody's different comfort levels.
Yeah, like when we started, our 2020 show was 2 or 3 days before the lockdown happened. So because obviously seniors were the most vulnerable to COVID, we canceled the show. So on the fly, we did a performance at the time with a cell phone and our daylight, working with the Rose Theatre. The following year, in 2021, last year, there was not a possibility for an in-person event. So we filmed from our home. We had 2 other musicians and 3 dancers film all in remote locations, and we had a wonderful audio and video crew work to put it together with us with a series of sponsors. This year we were doing the same thing, but when the announcement started happening about being back in person, we said, well, we were getting phone calls from the community saying, hey, we think it's going to be open, can you plan a live show? And we're all just crossing our fingers hoping that we don't get locked in again. But we're super excited to be able to do both the live show and the digital show again. And we have special guests at both. We have Championship Irish Dance. We have Irish percussionist playing a bodhrán. We have a fiddler, and we have a couple of other special guests as well, one of whom is known very well in Mississauga, Mr. Johnny Max.
And Lauralee McGurl, who's a wonderfully talented artist. She's done a lot of performing in Mississauga with Windmill Theatre, so we're so happy to have her as well.
Great. I'm so excited for you guys. It sounds like a wonderful event. I'm so glad you get to do something in person. Now that things have opened up. I guess on that note, what does the future look like for you? Do you have anything other exciting projects you are working on together?
Yes. Well, I'm currently working on my second album, so I'm really excited to be bringing that to life. And right now I'm just in the process of writing new songs and working with different collaborators, but I'm definitely looking forward to taking another bold step forward in my career, as well as continuing to grow my vocal studio, True Voice Vocal Studio here in Mississauga. And I'm so happy to be a female entrepreneur new in the community. So big thank you to the Arts Council for helping me to get to this point.
A lot of what we've been doing and where we've been moving forward is working with good organizations like the Arts Council. So Sherri, I've seen you a whole lot during the pandemic.
You're an angel.
And we do appreciate what you and Mike and the team have done for artists, because you've done a lot. For myself, I recently released a new video for my song, A Dear Friend. It's just got news that it just got on about a half a dozen playlists, so that's always very nice. And we are going to be performing a bunch between now and September. We basically, as soon as things started to open up, the floodgates for performance offers came in, because people are hungry for live music, which is amazing.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. I'm very excited for you guys. I know I've worked with you a lot in the pandemic, and I've loved working with both of you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys will do in the future. Tell our audience, where can people find you? What is the website and social media handles for you both?
If you look for us on Instagram or Facebook, it's River North Canada. On Twitter, it's River North Duo. Our website is rivernorthcanada.com.
Thank you both. All the best in 2022, and I'm looking forward to your Celtic Roots concert coming up. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Sherri.
Thank you, Sherri.